impressed with that Ultra watch.
Well, you'll have to either go scuba diving and tell us about it, or go climb up on some high mountain and tell us about that while you're wearing that Apple Watch Ultra.
Well, I used to do a lot of scuba diving actually, but I haven't scuba dived in years now. But yeah, all this technology, especially with watches, I just keep thinking, there was a time in my life when I was doing triathlons and I was running 100-mile weeks and I was scuba diving and doing all this stuff. And I'm going, man, I wish I would have had this wearable technology back then. I mean, I had my Timex Ironman watch and that was it, and although I do always joke that, now you'll get your little rings and your watch will say, hey, just 5 more minutes and you can, close the ring. I think my watch, if I would have had that back then, it probably would have been saying, hey man, you need to sit down and take a rest because you're going to kill yourself. But yeah, because I look at all my runners I coach now and they all have, these, wearable watches with all this technology, whatever it is, whether it's, Apple or Garmin or whatever. And I'm like, it just would have been cool back in my heyday. Now it's, although they still won't put a good freaking stopwatch in the Apple Watch. It drives me nuts. For like a coach to use where I can actually save a bunch of splits and stuff that I take of my runners. It's very annoying to me, and I've requested it of them many, many times.
Is there no third-party app that will do that?
There are third-party apps mainly for the phone, not
the phone,
watch.
for sure.
And it's just, I don't want to have to always sit there with my phone. Plus, then I'm running my phone battery down. But it's funny you mentioned that because I was just on a screen share with Alan a few minutes ago. And he's been working on our database that I use for my coaching that I've had for years. And he got a few wild hairs about stuff. So now he's trying to figure out how I could, on the phone, hit it start times and record times in our database. So, but yeah, I'd rather just have a watch where I can just click, it's kind of like I've got the old Timex Ironman watches and I can save 100 splits in there. So whether I'm in a cross country meet and I've got 40 athletes running, or I'm at a track meet, I can, every time I take a split or a time, I can just hold it and save it in the memory and I can recall it. Apple will let you take splits on the stopwatch, but they have no memory recall for it, which I've never understood.
Right.
Even if you're not a coach and you're just doing workouts, it's like later on, I want to see, what did I record? I want to be able to recall that stuff. It's amazing to me with all their health stuff and activity stuff that they do, that they have never included that kind of thing. I can't believe the storage for those times would take up that much memory.
A few bytes.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it boggles my mind. So, there's a place where you can request things. So I've probably done it at least 20 times over the last 5 years. They're probably going, oh, there's that Glenn House guy again. Delete. But I don't know. It just seems like it makes sense. And for a while, I actually have sketched out an entire timing app, like coaching app for my watch. And I was trying to teach myself iOS programming, but I just don't. Every time I start to teach myself that, eventually my eyeballs roll back in my head. I'm just not a coder. I'm a design person, And one of these days, I'm going to talk my brother-in-law into it because he writes algorithms for financial trading companies, and gets paid very handsomely doing that, by the way. Talk him into working with me to develop this app. Of course, by the time I do that, I'll be done coaching anyway. So
that's what you need, though, is a partnership with a coder.
Yeah, exactly. I got to think there's other people out there that would like having a stopwatch you can, store stuff in.
Sure.
Yeah, there's multiple timers available on your watch, and you could even add custom ones. But no stopwatch feature on the watch. On the phone, yes. You got timer on the phone, you got stopwatch on the phone, you got timer on the watch, but no stopwatch on the watch. So you're right.
No, there's a stopwatch on the watch.
Not that I found.
Well, I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, okay.
Whoop, it's my background's messing with it, but yeah. I mean, I use the stopwatch all the time. I just know that either
Oh,
I have
there
to
it
look,
is. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
write it down. There's nothing like when you start it, if you hit lap, it'll take splits on there, but it just doesn't save anything. So, there's no way to save it. And I'm like, that just doesn't make sense to me. Whether you're just an athlete, training, and maybe I'm out for a 10-mile run and I just want to, see what all my mile times are each mile when I go through and just hit split. But I want to be able to recall them later or to save them or something.
I just did that very quickly on mine, and it shows you I've got lap 1, lap 2, and lap
Yeah.
3, each another like a few seconds. But I don't think you can store those anywhere and then recall them. I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah. There's no place to store those. You're stuck with them as is.
Yeah. You could take a screenshot of them, I suppose, and then type them into your database later, but that's about all.
Yeah, that's sort of not what most people are looking for, though.
No.
So, by the way, it's 7:07 here, 7:08. Nobody's here. I'm wondering where everybody is tonight.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I can't answer that question.
Well,
I was just talking to Alan. I said, "Hey, well, let's let's stop this conversation so we can hop over on the meeting."
Yeah, even Alan's didn't do.
Although the weird thing is I couldn't get out of a screen share. I kept trying to get out of the screen share. I kept saying, Alan, you got to end it. It won't let me out of it. I can't find, like normally I've got a little icon on top of my, the menu bar on my computer when I'm screen sharing. And for some reason I couldn't find it anywhere. So because Alan, let me out of here. I even closed the lid on my computer, waited, and I came back and it was still there. It's like, let me out of here.
Was that because he was the one that inaugurated it or something?
That's what I mentioned at first, Ron. I think the host has much more power over screen share than the individual does.
Huh, I don't know.
I've done it. Alan and I do that quite often when we're like working on the database, and I've never had that before. It's always been that either party could do it.
Are you using Zoom?
No, we use messages to screen share.
I see. Okay.
So I don't know what happened there.
Well, I was trying to learn how to use a phone as a camera on Zoom. And I noticed that if I was the host, that I could control it. But if I was not the host, I couldn't.
Okay, interesting. Our little meeting right now sort of reminds me of the old thing: if a tree falls in the woods and no one's there to hear it, did it really happen? Not that I don't enjoy sitting and chatting with you guys, but sitting here on my yacht, enjoying the view.
Is that what your background is? I can't even tell.
Yeah, it's a yacht.
It looked like a washing machine.
A washing machine.
Yeah, that blue thing to your. I don't know what that is.
Well, now you're seeing my chair. Hold on. You're seeing the deck chair.
Oh, that's a couch or something.
Yeah.
reminded me of the benches on a pontoon boat.
I just found an image real quick to throw on the background there. Figure a beat looking at my utility box on the wall behind me.
Where are you finding those Zoom images, backgrounds?
Oh, just anywhere. I mean, that's just an image. As far as the videos I use, I look up on YouTube, but I will find 4K video, so it's a good resolution. And then I look for ones that are lengthy, just so they're not kind of just looping the same thing over and over.
You can use any photo.
Yeah, any photo, as far as any image you can. I just try to use higher resolution stuff because it looks better.
What resolution do you find is the minimum for it to look halfway decent?
I don't know that I specifically for something, but like when I do an image search, I will make sure to put it either on large or wallpaper. And then, you know, if it's generally, if it's a large enough image, I'll just look at the image quality. If it looks good enough, you know, but if you try to use a smaller image, then you're going to get it kind of grainy and pixelated usually.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, I tell my students on projects when they have to, because they have to use images and stuff, when they put images on there, I'm like, don't be blowing up little images and I have to try to figure out what I'm looking at when you've made it this big and now it's all grainy and pixelated. I'm like, you lose points if you do that. By the way, Ron, is it a bad sign? I know I'm going to retire, but is it a bad sign that it's only the middle of September and I've had it up to here with excuses already?
That's a teacher's lot in life, you know.
I
I'm sure
I
this
don't
year
know-
isn't different from all the other years before.
I don't know if maybe it's because I'm retiring or maybe I've just gotten to that point that I can't do it anymore, but it just, I almost can't stand it. Like, you know, I just don't care anymore. Like, leave me alone.
What are they giving you excuses for? Like not having done the work or something?
Anything you can imagine.
Well, not being there, right?
Well, you know what I like to tell them? I'm like, you know, guys, get used to being responsible because the real world really doesn't care about your excuses. You can make all the excuses you want, but you know, when you're out in the real world and it's your job or whatever else, nobody is really interested in listening to your excuses.
Well,
Then go ahead,
I
John.
vote we just go ahead and get started. I know we've got a limited number of people here, but maybe a few more will drift in as we go along.
Okay.
Okay, then, let's see.
Who watched the presentation?
Oh, I did.
Apples? Yeah.
For good or for bad, my son was sick and I was home with him that day. So it just was opportune that I could put it on and watch it.
Oh, you watched it live, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did too. It was only an hour and a half, a little over that.
Yeah.
I saw it, but not live.
And it looks for certain like there's going to be an October one, the more I see.
The only thing is, it sounded like it was going to be later in October, so it might miss our meeting. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't mind taking a few days off to be home with my son last week. It was a nice 2-day work week. I'm thinking they should all be like that.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? Well, as we start, then I'm going to say, our October, the officers have thought that there will be an October Apple announcements coming out, and if that happens, that'll take a good part of our October meeting. Even if it does, we'll probably be talking about the new software, like iOS 16 and some of the new features of it, and Watch OS 9, or I'm not sure if I
9.
got the right number there.
OS 9, yeah.
And if other things like for the iPads come out by then, we'll talk about those things. And also, if Apple does have an announcement, there may be new hardware like iPads or whatever coming out too that they'll announce. So
What
let's see.
I've heard is iPads and MacBooks.
MacBooks, right. We'll continue the rewards program. We'll have the drawing in December. we'll have 4 $100 Apple gift cards like before. What else to say? Oh, in tonight's presentation, we're going to do the slides video, which is Steve and Grant have worked on how, or a way to digitize slides using the iPhones. Then Glenn's going to do his goodies. Then we'll have a presentation about using Apple Cash to pay your dues for the club. And then I'll talk about the things that specifically came out from the keynote last week. So, we ready to start? Any questions or comments before we get going?
Ron, I was going to suggest that I do the Apple Pay, paying your dues with Apple Pay at another meeting when we have better attendance. Because I think most people who are here already know how to do it. So I'm kind of preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, it's not that long of a thing, so we could do it next month too, I think. But anyway, let's see what happens. Maybe people will show up. So,
Okay. Did you get my email today?
your email?
I sent you an updated PDF to upload to the website on this very topic.
When did you send it? Yesterday? Or today?
This afternoon.
Oh, I haven't looked at my email since
Okay.
a little earlier today, so I'm sure it's there. I have just to look. Give me a second, I'll check.
Are we going to talk about closing the mailbox, post office box?
Yeah, Steve, I got your email, so it's there.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I sent it out as a special note. I hope you all saw that. The PO box, they've raised it every year. I remember when it used to be like under $70 for a PO box. That was twice a year. Now the new one's going to be $180 for 6 months.
Oh,
It's
Oh, it's for a
ridiculous.
year.
That's for a year. In any case, a ridiculous amount of cost. So we decided that we would do away with the PO box. And I've gone through and changed all the information that I send out to people. But anyway,
And you put
it's going
your,
to come to my home address now.
you put that on the website too.
It's everywhere I could plaster it.
Right.
So whether people will pay attention to it, I don't know. But when if I send out papers, it's going to say that on there. And even the mailback return envelopes they'll get will have that address on there. So anyway, if you have anything that you're sending in now, don't send it to the old PO box, because after the end of October, we won't be able to get to it anymore. So I guess I'll have to make sure I check a couple of times in October so nothing's left behind in the old PO box. But in any case, it's just the cost of it got ridiculous. And for a group as small as it is, it'll work out if it just comes to my home. Because what I do is I take the checks anyway and send them off to Alan, who deposits them. So, and if you follow what Steve's going to talk about which is pay your Apple dues through Apple Cash or whatever, then you won't need to send in anything. You'll save a stamp and all those good things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ron, when we
Yes.
get toward the end of the contract with the post office, go to the post office and fill out one of those mail forwarding forms. And I think that's good for a year.
Well, Alan, I thought you said that you asked them about that and they won't.
No, I
forward
didn't.
it?
I didn't ask. I did see the mail forwarding form had a post office box as the originating form is something they would do that. I don't know how they could do that though, Steve, because what if they rent that post office box to somebody else?
Well, it never gets there. It just comes into the post office, and when they look, I'm sure they have the name associated with the address, probably, maybe. There's who it's
Yeah.
addressed to.
Anytime I've moved, I've had mail forwarded.
I know, but you didn't move from a post office box, did you?
But I moved from an apartment and it was occupied after we moved out.
Yeah, that's right. The apartments are,
Well,
it's been a
in
long time
October,
since
I
I
will
lived in an
check
apartment.
if they'll accept a forwarding address.
I saw the
Pretty
form
well
did
that
have a
number.
PO box listed on there that they would accept from the originating address.
Yeah,
So we ought to go in and fill one out.
definitely.
Okay.
Okay, so Grant and Steve have coordinated on how to digitize slides, and I don't know if how many of you have slides. Like I had a whole bunch that I did years ago. Grant has thousands, and
Well, he
so what he's going to show you is a way to digitize old slides, because although you can send them out to companies that do that kind of stuff, it's very expensive. And so this is a way you can do that yourself, and it works pretty well. So Grant, Steve, I don't know who wants to start with that, but we're ready to hear you.
Are you talking, Grant? I couldn't hear you. Grant, you're muted.
I'm sorry, why don't you start it, Steve?
Yeah, okay. Grant mentioned this in a GAMUG list email. Oh, it was 2 or 3 months ago. And I said, that might make a really good presentation. So he and I got together toward the end of July, and he walked me through the process, and we made a video. So this is the result. Let me screen share. And that's right there. Everybody see that?
Big black screen.
There we go.
It's July 28th, 2022, and Steve here has made some great video for us.
I'm not seeing anything.
We're just
Ways-
seeing black screen here.
Come up with
Yeah.
to photograph.
Stop sharing.
Yeah, we were just seeing a big black screen.
Yeah. Could hear it, but I couldn't see anything.
Well, shoot. What am I doing wrong?
Don't know.
It's always just kind of works this way when you're trying to present.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder if it's because the video is playing with a
Zoom.
what's it called? Q something, QuickTime player.
I don't know that that would be a problem per se. Because I've shared QuickTime videos on here before.
Okay, let me try it again.
Maybe start playing it on your screen.
Okay, now we're seeing something.
There we're
There we
seeing
go.
it.
Okay, we're
Grant
good.
did it.
July 28th, 2022, and Steve here has made some great video for us to describe the ways that I've come up with to photograph slides so that I have digital images of 35mm slides that I've collected over the years. Okay, when I first delved into making these digitized images of slides, I bought a $300 Epson scanner, and it made really good scans, except it took a very, very long time to make scans of 4 images. They had a tray that held 4 slides, and it was very, very slow. And I just got tired of waiting on the thing, and I sold it to a graphic artist here in St. Louis, and she loves it. It's an excellent scanner. But I also sent slides off to Scan Cafe, and they charge 25 cents per slide. The results are excellent. The turnaround time is very good, and I was very pleased with it. But I thought, boy, if I had 1,200 slides at 25 bucks a piece, I would rather have somebody else do it than me buy all the equipment necessary to do it. We've had hundreds of slides over the years, we got rid of our slide trays, which I'm unhappy we did because we lost a lot of organization. But I ended up with this device here. I made a box that's 4 inches deep. That's the focal length that Apple says their iPhones will focus to. I made the inside of the box is black, and that is to prevent the ambient light that's coming through a slide reflecting off the top of the slide. And that seems to work pretty good. And I found that the best camera of all the ones that I tried, there's a simple iPhone 8. And what I do is I turn the camera on, put it down like this, hit the slide, bring it up to a size that I can focus and deal with, lock in the focus and the exposure, and make the slide. And that's how I'm making the slides. I spend a little more time than that with most of them. This particular slide is a picture of me at a desk years ago. And one of the things I use about this slide is that there's a calendar on the wall. And if I can read the numbers on the calendar, I've made an excellent slide. I found this backlight on Amazon. It's sold as a sketch pad for artists to make, who are working on sketches or tracing for their commercial artwork. And what I found is that the light is perfectly uniform and has no texture to it. It's an LED light, and it's a good Kelvin temperature for slide reproduction. Previously, I had made a slide light box like this, which had either an incandescent light in it or a LED lamp. This one is in there now as an LED light. And it was when I was sorting the slides that I thought, why not just take a picture of the slide, and that would give me my digitized image. So I made a device to do that. Okay, the device I made to copy off of the large light box was a 3-inch deep electrical fixture box. And I just took a piece of black paper, cut a hole the size of the, I think it was an iPhone SE we had at the time. So that hole was made to fit the SE. And what we do with that is we turn, say the picture you want to take. Let's do this on my sail bike. Did you know that I sailed bicycles? Put this over the hole. And again, I'm going to use the iPhone 8. Try to find the I'm not going to spend a lot of time with this one, but here you do again the exposure and the focus, and take the picture, and there you've got the picture of the slide of the bike. Okay. Okay, when I was first started into making these slides, I thought the better iPhone I bought, the better the end result would be. But it turns out that the iPhone 8 makes a much better picture than the iPhone 13. These were both made at the same distance with the same light, just different cameras. The only difference is the camera. And look at the quality of the iPhone 8 compared to the iPhone 13. We went on the internet and took a look and found out that there are many people who have complained that the iPhone 13 doesn't focus up close. Okay, as I was making these pictures of my 35mm slides, I decided I'd go on Amazon and find out what they had to offer to make slides like I was doing. Here's what Kodak offers, $35 for a cardboard box. You can make it yourself for a lot less. The only thing that they include in there that would be worth a little more money would be an instruction book on how to make the slides, which we've just shown you here. And the other thing is that they have a little 3x3-inch LED light that's lit by 2 AA batteries, and that's included in their $35 price. This is another item that's available on Amazon, and I think it would probably be worth the cost if you were just trying to make some digitizing some slides. It's battery powered, it has a light in it, and you put your camera on the top. I'm not sure that it'll fit all cameras. They must have some way that they open the aperture on the top of the box. One company that I used when I was first starting into getting these digitized slides was Scan Cafe. And I was very satisfied with the quality of their work, their good turnaround time, but it ended up costing about 25 cents a slide. And I would rather do it myself and get slides of fairly good quality, but nowhere near what they're giving me, what they gave me. All right, here's another item that I made to provide lighting, backlighting to take pictures of the slide, but it turned out to have other advantages too. I made this box. It's big as an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. I made the cover to have white on the inside also. And you can take a three-dimensional object and put it in the lighting, and it gives very nice lighting. Say you were going to sell something on eBay and you wanted some shadowless illumination. There you go. Let's take the frog out of there, the turtle, and put this cover on. The cover is white inside so that the light bounces around from all sides. You put the daylight or like a Luxa lamp we have here to put in there, and you see that illuminated box. I will take this familiar slide and put it on there. Now we have the familiar slide on top of the light box here, and we've got a $12 close-up lens on my wife's iPhone 8. And we're going to move the camera in until it gets focused. And I'm not going to bother with getting it aligned correctly. We're going to set the exposure and the focus. And this thing keeps wanting to go to. I'm going to move it around until I get rid of that light flare. One reason that I like to use that image as a test is that there's a calendar here on the wall. And if I can read the numbers on that calendar, I know I've got a good focus. So there's the iPhone 8 with a $12 clip-on close-up lens attached to it, and a pill box used to space it away from the image.
want to say this. It's not supposed to give a really harsh white like a fluorescent light,
Right.
correct? At the same time, you don't want it too yellow either.
Well, let me tell you, I've really upgraded since that video was made. The 4-inch box is now 1 inch and a 1/16 inch focal length. What happened was I was so displeased with the inability of the iPhone 13 to focus at close distances that I took my little device over to the Apple store. And with 3 Apple people gathered around, they said, boy, that thing really doesn't focus. We will let you, we waive the return period for money you've already spent. And if you want to buy a 13 Pro, you can do that. So that's what I did. And the 13 Pro has made the images much, much better. You notice that I was enlarging the image to take its picture. Well, when you do that, you're reducing the resolution. So now with the 13 Pro, I've sized it with the camera 1 1/16 inch away. I filled the frame. So you've made it a much higher resolution end image, which has been great.
How did the 13 Pro compare to the 8 camera?
Pardon me?
How did the 13 Pro compare to the 8 as far as the camera? Was it better than the?
Better than the 8, yes.
The new
Okay.
cameras are better, yeah.
Well, but that wasn't his experience with the 13 that he originally had, so.
Right. If you Google iPhone 13 close focus and see all the comments in there, everyone says they can't understand why Apple released the thing that wouldn't focus up close like that. So that's been my experience too.
That's for 2 reasons. One is most people just shoot selfies with it, so they didn't think it would matter. Second, Grant, as you yourself have found out, and I can verify this, the close-up photo in the iPhone 13 Pro is outstanding. So they wanted you to spend more money to buy an iPhone 13 Pro if you wanted to do the close stuff.
Well, whatever. I don't know the reasoning, but that's what I found.
I was impressed with I always enjoy watching somebody create and come up with a solution to a problem. So
Yeah.
I enjoyed watching your, solutions. I may not know a lot about that, but it was fun to watch what you came up with and how it worked.
I tried another thing. Let's see if it will work. I checked it out with Ron before the meeting started here, and I'll see if I can do it again. What I did is I took my wife's iPhone, mounted it on a tripod, and I guess I'm not doing it this time. What am I doing wrong? I did it right the first time.
We're saying it.
You
Oh,
see
we're
a picture,
We see your boat.
a boat.
Yeah, that's the desktop.
Mhm.
What are you trying to do, Grant?
There it is.
Okay.
Are you now seeing my iPhone?
Yes.
Does it
Yes, it
have,
looks like the setup for your slide
yeah,
scan.
does it have this thing in front of it? Does it have a bunch of? Well, I don't see what you're seeing, so I'm sorry.
We're just seeing the picture on your iPhone.
We're
Are you seeing that, huh?
seeing the iPhone sitting on what looks like a stack of papers. Yeah, we can see that.
And there was your hand.
Okay, this is the box that's now 1 1/16 inch deep rather than 3 or 4 inches deep, like the old camera. And in the background, there's that light box I told you that I had the LED lamp in. And here's some of the older boxes that I tried with different lenses or different cameras. I tried it with, I think it was 4 different cameras. And if you see the image there on the picture, that's the slide that it was that I was trying to take a picture of.
Grant,
Yeah,
may I ask a question?
sure.
With the, what overall combination of which iPhone and which homemade gadget gave you the best results for scanning slides?
The iPhone 13 Pro and the box that's on the screen, which is 1 1/16 inches deep.
This box that we're looking at now, 1
Right.
1/16 deep.
Right.
And can you show me, I'll pick up the phone and show me that box a little bit better?
Yes, I think I can.
So you got the light table from Amazon and you put this box on top of it.
Yeah, and really be careful about the LED lamps you can buy. I've seen the very same product priced at $70. And I've seen it with Kodak's name on it for $35. And the one I spent $20 for it, and it's all the same product.
Can you send out the link to the GAMUG list for that product?
Sure, there's also, wait till I finish doing this one here first.
Because it looks like this setup is only one product, the light table, and the rest of that's homemade, right?
I'm sorry, repeat that again.
It looks like you only needed to buy one thing from Amazon, that light table.
Yes,
And then you got the iPhone 13 Pro, you said,
right,
and then the cardboard stuff that you made.
right.
By doing that at 1 1/16 inch, are you getting the right size so you don't have to zoom each picture?
Yes. That's a pretty good example right there. Can you see that?
I see that.
Yeah.
Trying to block out the reflection. Also notice that when in my instructions there with the video we made with Steve, I talked about focusing it with your finger and, all the instructions that Apple gives. Notice that on the iPhone 13, there's this caret here that you push, and it gives you the ability to change the exposure. And what I found is consistently with this light, the quality is much better when you shoot about a half a frame underexposed. You get much better results.
Oh.
So I would not use the automatic exposure. The other thing is that one thing I don't like about this light is, and I'll try to show it to you, is that its on-off switch is over here. And it's really not on and off. It's on and it's off. But it's on how long you hold it. And it's very difficult to get a consistent level of light in the background. So what I do is I make it full brightness and then I'd adjust the exposure with the camera.
So if you didn't make the light table full brightness, then you might not have to adjust the exposure on the camera, but then it becomes difficult to be consistent from one work session to another work session.
Right. I have a very sophisticated incident light meter that I used to use when I did a lot of photography professionally. And I found that I can hold that incident light meter on the back panel and find again a good exposure level. But I found that it's much easier to do it just in the camera.
Is your
So on
zoom, is your zoom on the camera set to normal? You don't have to zoom in at all, right?
Right. If you're using an iPhone 13 Pro and the camera 1 1/16 away from the transparency, then the frame is full, just like you're seeing it right now on that. You're not seeing a black band across the front of the picture. You're actually seeing the whole frame of the camera.
Seems like it.
I don't,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Are
We-
you seeing my cursor on the camera now?
Yes, I
Yes.
am.
And you're not seeing this black thing that says mute and stop
No,
video?
We
No,
see
no.
slow-mo video photo square down at the bottom.
Yeah, right. That's part of
That's all.
that. But there is this black thing. Let's see if I can move it. I don't mean taking up all this time, but
Yeah, we're gonna have to move on soon, guys.
Can I ask one more question?
sure.
As far as when you adjust the exposure on the phone, when you take the picture, how do you consistently adjust it to the same way for each photo?
I don't. I do it by eye.
Oh, okay. You are, so in other words, you may also be considering how the slide was originally exposed
Right,
and correcting that as well.
right. And sometimes, in fact, I would say frequently, I like my new exposure better than I did the original exposure.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Grant. Was very interesting.
Yeah, could I throw in just one or two more comments?
Quickly,
Very quickly. I laid my MacBook Pro on its back and I created a blank pages document and I cranked up the brightness as far as it would go. I had a light table. So you really don't need to buy something from Amazon or eBay if you have an iPad or a MacBook Pro already, or MacBook. Also, there is a setting in your phone. It's called Classic Invert. You go into accessibility in your settings. And if you have a bunch of old negatives laying around, you know, when I was into photography, I did not make slides. I made prints. And I've got these packets and packets and boxes of old negatives, but I didn't want to just throw them away because I thought, well, there might be something worth keeping in there. But it's kind of hard to tell what a picture is when you're looking at a negative. Well, your phone, when you turn on Classic Invert, will let you see everything reversed. You know, black becomes white, reds become greens, and so on and so forth. Now, you cannot make a file from that. You can't take a picture of it, but you can at least see what the negative looks like. So I found that very useful.
thank
I
you.
wholeheartedly agree with that. Both of those things. Use your white background is a good uniform light that's going to come from your screen. And also that classic invert was just amazing to me. I had no idea you could take color negatives and make color prints out of them. It's kind of hard to find classic invert, but it's on your phone.
okay. Thanks, everybody. We're gonna move on. If you gotta clear the screen for us, though. Glenn's next with goodies.
I'm going to sign out so I clear your screen because I can't figure out how to get it away. So I'll be leaving for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I'm glad that actually took a few extra minutes because right as I was getting my goodies ready, for some reason Office decided that now was the time that PowerPoint needed to update. I'm like, no, not now.
Like Zoom updates every time I log in.
Well, Alan, when I was on with you and I was kind of getting Zoom ready, it wanted to update, so I was letting it do that before the meeting. So, yeah, that's why I try to always keep things manual on updates. Although, by the way, this morning I was updating because there was an update to Mac OS. And so I thought, oh, I'll let it update. And this is the second time that it's taken way longer than I thought it was going to take. And I'm like, I got to get to school. I got to leave. So I literally, it was updating. I took my MacBook Pro, I set it on the passenger seat next to me and left just so I could let it sit there and update while I was driving. Because lately it seems like the updates for the MacBook Pro have been taking like a real long time to update. I don't know if anybody else has noticed that. So
Not just the MacBook Pro.
yeah,
Everything, they're all taking a long time.
I don't know if it's just because they're really big or what, but I've just noticed that lately. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead then and share this with you guys. And all right, can we all see that all right?
Yep,
Yes.
Okay, all right.
it's like water.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting little image with water over the rocks there. That had nothing to do with the presentation. All right, so I'm sure that some of you saw that Apple did this page the other day for Queen Elizabeth II. And first of all, by the way, I had to say that, you know, they've done a few of these now, well, more than a few, but you know, when I went to the website, when they had this on the other day, I don't know about the rest of you, but I just find this photo so striking. I just think it's an awesome photo, and I love the quality of it, even though it was taken in 1952. So, and I thought, Grant, you might appreciate that.
Yeah, it's really great.
And so it got me thinking. I was trying to remember who else they did this for. And so I went and I found the other Apple homepage, the tributes that they did. And so there you have it. They Steve Jobs, Muhammad Ali, Martin Luther King Jr., Nelson Mandela, Robin Williams, and John Lewis were the other 6 that I could not find any others, but I believe that was all of them that they did. Of course, Steve Jobs, they've done multiple ones for, and they do one every year on the anniversary of his death, which would be coming up next month. And so I always think they do a nice job with that. What I've never been able to figure out exactly when they, you know, why they choose someone they choose, you know. So I always think it's interesting, you know, the people that they pick for whatever reason. Sorry, I forgot I have to do this manually. All right, so we're talking about trade-ins, John, and Apple just reduced all of their trade-in values. So they did it last November 2021, and this was just, I think I saw this and put this slide together about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So anyway, so here we see iPhones, and I can go back to this if anybody wants, but then I also have some Macs, iPads, and Apple Watches. Now I noticed in here, John, that you were talking about the Apple Watch 4. All I saw was Series 3, 4, 5, and SE. So I didn't see anything for 6s here, 7s. Don't know why that was in this article, but needless to say, bad news that they're dropping all of them. So anyway, so John, there may be something to trading in your watch sooner rather than later. And by the way, I've shared the PDF with Ron, so if anybody wants to go back and look at these lists, you can. He'll put it up. All right, I found an app recently that I kind of like, that I have installed. I've installed it on my phone and my iPad. I have not installed it on my computer, however. And it's called Banish Block Login Pop-ups. And so I know I'm always kind of annoyed at some of the little banners and pop-ups and wanting to force me to have to go to an app to do stuff. So anyway, I do my darndest on all my devices to eradicate the internet as most people see it. So you know, like in Safari, I have a ton of extensions just locking that thing down to lock out all the crud I don't want to see. which sometimes it can be a little bit of a bad thing because sometimes there are a few things I can't load every now and then, but for the most part. So anyway, I just found this app and I have found it kind of handy to get rid of some of those annoying things. It is $2.99 for the iPhone and iPad, and it's $4.99 on the Mac. So anyway, if it's something that interests you, I found that and I kind of liked it.
Is that a one-time charge, Glenn?
Yes. Yeah. All right. So I don't know if people, I presume, but I shouldn't assume these things, that people know you can change the view on your watch, because my wife didn't know that. And I was showing her so she could, decide, does, she like it in the grid view, which if you look down there in the picture or the phone is on the left, or you can put it in list view on the right. And I know sometimes when I have a grid view, you're kind of fiddling, circling around, trying to figure out where an app might be. So sometimes putting it in list view that's alphabetically might, you might like that better. So basically there's two quick ways to do it on your watch. You can go to app view and choose the layout you prefer, or on your iPhone, you can go to Apple Watch app and go to app view, and there's this little 1-minute video here that shows a
There's
person
an Apple
doing
Watch
it.
Series 7 going to show you how to take screenshots. The first
Oh,
thing is you
wait,
need to go
sorry.
and
Never
enable
mind.
screenshot.
I forgot. I don't know why. I think a slide is missing there. I thought I had a thing to do it, but then I was going to talk about screenshots. Did you guys know that you can do screenshots from your Apple Watch?
Yeah, I
No.
read that, but I've never
Yes.
done it.
Okay, well, you can. Sorry for the mix up here. I don't think most people know that, because again, I've told that to two different people recently, so I thought I would just share how you do that here. So sorry
There's an
about the
Apple
mix-up.
Watch Series 7 going to show you how to take screenshots. The first thing is you need to go and enable screenshots. So you can do it on your phone or you can do it on your app. So on your phone, just go to your settings and then go to general. And then from here, go ahead and scroll down. Keep on going down till you see screenshots right there. Tap on screenshots. You're going to go ahead and enable screenshots right there. So you can enable screenshots on your watch, or you can even use your app on your phone. You open up your Apple Watch app, and then same navigation. You go to general, and then go ahead and scroll down until you see enable screenshots. Okay, anyway, so it's enabled. One thing you got to do is press two buttons. Okay, it's going to be the crown and the side button. So go ahead and press those together. You can see right there. All right. Now, every time you take a screenshot, it gets saved automatically into your photos gallery on your phone. So if I tap on photos up here, and then it'll show up in your recents. You can see the two screenshots right there, or you can go ahead and scroll down to you see screenshots here and tap on that. These are all the screenshots from your phone as well as from your watch. Okay, pretty simple. Good luck.
So I don't know when I necessarily have a need to take a screenshot of my watch, but you never know. It's kind of handy just to know that. And again, I don't think a lot of people really know you can do that. What I don't get is why they make you enable screenshots. That one I don't understand. Why wouldn't it just be default enabled to do it? Anybody have an idea on that one? Because I wasn't sure why they wouldn't have that enabled.
No idea.
I don't know
Okay.
why you take one.
What's that?
Maybe because people would be taking too many of them accidentally.
Yeah, but like if I'm with my watch, it's pretty hard to hit both these hold both those buttons down at the same time accidentally, but anyway, I just wondered, I'm like, well, sometimes they make settings and I'm just thinking, why didn't you just make that by default? I mean, you could turn it off if you want, but
Maybe you got a
Anyway.
maybe you got a 2-year-old who's really interested in the watch and start taking a bunch of screenshots.
there you go, John. All right. That makes sense. I know my son liked to do that on phones plenty when he was younger. So
There you go.
Here's an Apple Watch.
all right. So I thought you guys might appreciate this. I can't vouch for, I haven't tried it out. I'm not into hacking, but the time it takes a hacker to use a brute force attack to hack your password, Hive Systems did this, and I saw there was a tweet about this, and this was the picture they shared. So You can figure out how many characters you have in your password and what combinations you're using, and then you can see how long it might take them to break that. I think that most of mine I'm using, because I use a number of different numbers and upper and lowercase and symbols, so I'm all the way on the right column there, and usually I'm somewhere between about 8 and 12 or so in mine. So anybody use one that's in the green there?
Yeah, I do.
92 billion years, sure.
I want to know, I just want to know how they would test that one out, you know?
But it depends on what they throw at it.
I've got a much longer password than the number of characters you've got there.
Well, then you're probably okay.
Yeah,
Like I said, I have no way to know how valid this is, but you know, I gave you the link there if you want to, you know, find out more about their methodology.
But
So
if NSA was throwing a bunch of supercomputers at it, it might be a little quicker than that.
yeah, probably so. I mean, again, you can look at their methodology and see how they came up with it. Anyway, I just thought it was kind of a little interesting thing just to look at. And all right, so who collects the most data? I came across this as well. This survey was done just recently. I just saw this. I think it was about, oh, I don't know, a week ago maybe. And you know, I thought it was interesting that they were looking at data points. And so you could see that Google by far was the one collecting the most information, which does not shock me in the least. I thought that Facebook might be a little higher than it is. It's good to see Apple lower than a lot of these tech companies. I'm not somebody who really worries about this because frankly, you know, once you put yourself out there online and you start doing all this stuff, your data's out there pretty much. So I don't overly concern myself with it. But anyway, just something to think about if you use these companies.
DuckDuckGo made mention.
Well, no, what they said there was that that they're not, DuckDuckGo is supposed to be not really collecting anything. That's what they promise and everything. I've been using DuckDuckGo now for, I don't know, gosh, 3 or 4 years, I think is my primary search engine.
Well, they're
And-
going to make a browser now, aren't they?
Yeah,
DuckDuckGo
yeah.
is making their own browser.
Yeah. I have the app that's the browser on my phone that I use quite a bit. So I recommend it. Anybody else use DuckDuckGo?
Just for the search engine.
Yeah, I've got the app on my phone that I use. All right, so when you get your new watch, I have a nice little watch band for you. Some of you might be interested in. John, I could see that going with your watch if you get tired of the blue.
No, you can't.
You know, find some spare change in your couch for the low price of $15,000. That diamond encrusted watch there to add a little bling. You know. Anyway, I wonder, like, actually, if people really buy this stuff. I mean, I'm sure somebody does, or they wouldn't make it.
For sure.
And remember to think differently. My all-time favorite Apple ad.
Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. But the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
Of all of the Apple ads that they have put out over the years, that's my favorite one. In fact, I have the words to that narration hanging on a poster in my classroom. And I've actually got a poster set of all the different posters that they made for this campaign. I kind of wonder if that's worth anything, actually. I don't know where I came up with that set. It was something a long time ago and I've got it stored away. So, all right. So there you have it for the goodies this month.
Thanks, Glenn.
Yep. Gotta find Zoom. Come back to me, Zoom. Where you at?
I hope they don't chop out that video portion that you just showed.
You know, that's a good point. I didn't even think about. Well,
Well, if they do, they do. It's just,
I want to know, do they have one? Is that somebody's job? That's what they sit and do?
I don't know, when I load stuff to Google,
Thousands of people do that probably.
yeah, they load it in and then about the next day, they'll come back to me and say, well, this has, copyright, blah, 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 so we'll have to chop it out or else, we can't use it or whatever, anyway. I just say,
You think
whatever you have
Apple
to do,
would-
you do.
Copyrighted that ad?
Well, you never know. Okay, Steve. Let's
Sure.
talk about the payment. Now, I know since we don't have a lot of people here, we might not next month either, but we can redo this again because I think it can't be said too many times.
And it's not
Okay.
very hard.
No, it's not hard. It's very easy to do that. And Steve's got to pay his dues with it, so.
Yeah, that's part of my demonstration here.
Well, John just paid his dues with it yesterday. Or was it the day
Saw
before?
that. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna share my
I
screen.
find myself very inconvenienced when I have to pull out my wallet these days.
Oh, white people's problems.
Get rid of that. Okay, did everybody see that?
Yes,
Looks good.
Right. Okey-doke. Okay, we've already talked about the justification for this. The post office box rental is going through the roof. Right now, it's, I think, a year ago, it was $146. That's like 5 memberships, and it's going up to 6 or 7 now. So we want to make it easy for everybody. And this is about paying your dues with Apple Cash. Here are the items that you'll need. iPhone 6 or later, you need to have Touch ID or Face ID. iPad with Touch ID or Face ID, and Apple Watch Series 1 or later. Apparently, every Apple Watch is capable of doing this. I don't have an Apple Watch, so I can't swear to it, but I get that impression since there was no limit on which models you could make these cash transfers with. You will also need a debit card from your bank or your credit union. If you don't have a debit card, then just contact your bank's customer service and request one. I think every bank and credit union in the country offers a debit card. And I will cover how to add your debit card to the wallet app. And once you've done that, if you really don't want to have the debit card, you can destroy it. So first,
You have to have the numbers off of it, though.
yes, that's what I'm going to talk about later on. Okay, in your device, Apple has streamlined the steps since the last time we made this presentation. So I'm going to go over the current process. You open Settings, iCloud, and Password and Security. The Security Setup. And you turn on the two-factor authentication. This is another security measure that writing checks does not have. So that's a big plus. The first time you log into a new device, you'll need to provide 2 pieces of information, your password and the 6-digit verification code that will be displayed on your trusted devices. Next, you need to generate the cash card. Open the Wallet app. You'll see your new Apple Cash card. You tap on it and you verify the information that it asks for. And here's how you add your debit card. Once your Apple Cash card is activated, tap on the plus sign in the upper right corner, and the app will walk you through the steps to pair your debit card with the Wallet app. The app can use your phone's camera to read your debit card's account number, or you can enter it manually if you prefer. At this point, your cash card is ready to use. It has access to your bank account. Don't worry about security because every piece of information about your account is encrypted. Even if someone were to steal your phone and manage to unlock it, they would only see little dots for the account number. By contrast, anyone who gets a hold of one of your checks can see your entire account information and use it to their heart's content. You can now, at this point, you can now safely transfer money to and from your bank account. And incidentally, if you have an Apple credit card, your cashback rewards go to your Apple Cash card. And that is where I stash all mine. You can also send money to another individual, and that is how you pay your GAMUG dues. So with a recent iOS update, you can now make a cash transfer from within Wallet by opening the Apple Cash card and tapping on Send. After that, the process is similar to the original method of using messages. And that is the method that I prefer. To send your dues and messages, first create a text message to our treasurer, Alan Thorpe. I'll provide his phone number later. And you tap on the Apple Pay button. That's that little black oval right there. Use the plus and minus buttons to send the amount of the payment. It's still $30 annually for individuals and $40 for a family. Then you tap on Pay down here.
If you click on the number, it actually pulls up a keypad and you can type in the value.
Yeah, you can tap on Show Keypad, and manually put it in, or just keep clicking the plus sign, hold it down until you get up to 30. Now, this is important. Be sure to include a comment to the treasurer to tell him who you are.
Because I don't have everybody's phone number in my
Right,
account.
right. If Alan gets this message with $30, he'll be writing back to you saying, okay, who are you? So after you've done this, tap on the up button right here, and your payment is complete. Okay, Ron, you need to pause the recording. Yeah, we're good.
I got a message that he's paid. What I normally do is go over to where I see the details, who it is, and take a screenshot of the transaction detail. And then I go back to my account and I click on the three dots up above and I say transfer to bank. $30. And it says next, and I say 1 to 3 business days and say transfer. And it asks me to confirm it. And it's in the bank.
And then Alan sends me a note that, so I put it in the database that you're paid.
What I do is I go to look at the latest transactions again. And there's a transaction. And I just take a screenshot of that page. And then I send that to the officers so everybody knows what's going on. So I really don't spend much time at it.
No, it all goes very quickly. So we really hope everybody will seriously consider paying their dues that way.
Well, some people
Well,
just
I
don't like
really
debit
don't
card.
think I've got a choice now. Since of all things
If you
should.
have a bank account, you should have a debit card. So
No.
Well,
I have a debit card.
If you still want to pay the old fashioned way with a stamp and the envelope, that's fine. But we'd like to, as many people as possible to switch to an electronic system, so
Okay,
it'll save you money too in the long run, and it's very safe.
By the
After
way, I
all,
did-
we are a computer club.
Yeah, we should know how to do this.
By the way, as
Well-
a very, very brief side note, I heard somebody retelling a story that they had a fraudulent charge on their Apple card. And so there's a little button you can press, and then a chat came up through messages with a representative. And they said, well, you'll have to, get a different number for your card. And the person said they were thinking, oh, I'm gonna have to wait 7 to 10 days and get one sent to me. And the person about 5 seconds later said, okay, I've given you a new number. Check your wallet there. And then boom, right in their wallet, the number was changed. And because Apple doesn't put a number on your physical card, they don't have to send you a new card or anything. And the other
Wow.
thing you can do for an added layer of security, there is, and I haven't tried this in there, but there's supposedly a little thing you can press on there to have the, what do they call it, your little CVN number, the code number, that can change. I think it's once a month it changes.
Hmm.
So I think using it is, from everything I've read, is just extremely safe by comparison to other methods.
For sure.
I have a physical Apple card, credit card. I think I've used it once.
You've got me
And
beat by one time.
I've used mine to
I
buy
tell
my
you,
new
it's-
Apple Watch.
when you get the physical card, there's really not that much advantage to having it.
No, that's a disadvantage to using it,
Yeah,
because you don't get the cash back with it.
Well, you
my
get 1%,
recommendation-
but
Yeah, my recommendation is don't get the physical card, just work through the wallet on your phone or
Yeah.
your watch.
I've had to use my physical card because when I go to Ace Hardware, sometimes it won't go through on my app on my phone. So then I just hand them the physical card and they do it that way.
Well, I've seen that Ace Hardware is one of the things that is now gets 3% back.
Yeah, but that stupid thing doesn't always work. Partly
Maybe
because I think the
they're still
clerks there
adapting.
don't know what the hell they're doing, but
It could be
that's
just
how
still
life
adapting.
is, Okay, thanks, Steve. That was good. And I think we'll just redo next month unless we have so much that we can't fit it in, but I think it's good for anybody to hear it or see it again. Okay?
Yeah, next
I'll
month
be
I
in
can
touch
pay
with
my
you,
Apple
see
Pay.
if- I'll be in touch with you, see if I can work out the kinks with the trouble that I had, and maybe we can set up a mock Zoom meeting and.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Steve, try next time having a cable, though. I find sometimes that's more reliable than trying to do it on Wi-Fi.
I will.
I think
Thanks.
switching over to your phone worked fine, though.
Yeah, just that we wasted time doing that. That's all. Okay, guys, I'm gonna finish us off as kind of quickly here, but we got a half hour, so. I've slapped together a little keynote presentation on what they showed us last week. And can you all see that
Yes.
far out sign? Okay. So at the top, you see that we're actually three main things they talked about: the Apple Watch, AirPods Pro, and iPhone 14. So the first thing they did was Cook bragged a little bit about saying that Apple Watch was the #1 selling smartwatch in the entire world for the past 7 years in a row. So not nice little fact, I suppose. Then they start talking about the Apple Watch itself, and they showed all the different new features that Apple Watch, is it 9, I think is the number? Anyway. Oh, Series 8, I'm sorry. Interesting is cycle tracking, although considering we're all men tonight, that doesn't affect us much. But for any woman, I would think that's probably pretty useful to know. And it'll actually can estimate the ovulation date. So if you're trying to have a baby or trying not to have a baby, you can do those kind of things.
Hey, Ron,
thing-
my wife has tried to use that thing and she's just like, it is so, she thinks it's terrible. Like it's so unreliable, and it just, she goes, it never seems like it's right.
Well, she doesn't have a Series 8 though, does she?
No, but like, with her phone and everything else. And so,
Well, I
This
give it a
is a
try
new-
with
this
this
is
new
a
way
brand new
because
plan.
they talked about it working pretty well, so who knows? You can't rely on their words exactly, but it's a worth try, I suppose.
They have
Crash
new-
detection was another new thing that they showed. They have all sorts of new ways to tell when you've had a bad crash. And it looks like it would be pretty useful if you had a serious accident of some sort. It comes in 4 colors in aluminum and 3 colors in stainless steel. That's this new Series 8. And if you look, this was their summary page. It's $399 with GPS and $499 with GPS and cellular. But if you look at all the different things they're talking about here, multi-sport workouts, blood oxygen and ECG, advanced cycle tracking because of temperature sensing, that's built into the phone. And those are 2 new sensors that they've added to the Series 8 for that cycle tracking. Crash detection, as we mentioned, new watch faces and bands, fast charging. Can't tell you the statistics on it, but it's supposed to be able to do that pretty quickly. International roaming. There's a low power mode, AFib history, and the display is actually larger. It goes edge to edge. So it's available on the 16th, which is what we're on the 13th right now. So in a few days, it'd be possible to actually buy one. The next thing they talked about was Apple Watch SE, which is the less expensive model. It's $249 and $299 with the cellular. Notice it's 20% faster than the previous series. Has a lot of the same features built into it. Activity tracking, emergency SOS, heart rate notifications, which I think our phones can do now. Color match cases, the back has changed the way it looks. Multi-sport workouts, sleep stages, and it's a 30% larger display than the Series 3 had. Again, just a little less expensive version. Then they have a third version called Apple Watch Ultra. I think, Glenn, you said you want to buy one of those?
I am very seriously considering it. One, I would love the bigger watch. I know some people don't like bigger watches, although the last time I wore a real watch compared to the Apple Watch, I feel like when I pick that thing up now, I could slug somebody upside the head and kill them with it. I was used to a big watch. I like that kind of bigger display, and just some of the features on there to me are just really cool. Plus, I'm also interested in the battery life being much longer than what you're getting out of the other watches. So
True.
there's just
The
some
price
cool-
is up though, $799. That includes the cellular. Has
Yeah.
new watch bands. You see those on the picture there. And
By
this
the
is a
way,
little summary
that
chart.
I think that price actually was a positive because they're saying that way more of these have been ordered than they thought would be, because a lot of people were expecting this watch to go for about $1,000.
Cool. So less expensive than people
Yeah,
anticipated.
Yeah.
There's an action button, which I didn't quite understand, but you have to go back and kind of look at the
It's
presentation.
programmable.
I'm sorry, what?
It's programmable for different applications on it. So it's does different things depending on what apps you have running.
yeah.
I think
Notice
it's a watch. I just don't need it.
it has, let's see, well, the battery life, like Glenn mentioned, 60 hours battery life on low power. A bright screen.
As quite
And
the
what again?
Oh, I was just gonna say the speaker on it's pretty impressive, especially their alert. You can put a little siren or alert on there that I think they said it's supposed to be at like 80 decibels.
Yeah. So you could hear if you were stuck somewhere.
Yeah.
someone could
And
hear
the
you.
screen is twice as bright. So you can
Yes.
actually see it outside. It's like 2000 nits or something.
Yeah.
Notice
I
Apple
think it's a
Watch's
great
push
watch.
big on ways to help the environment. So all this slide does is show you all the different ways that they try to protect the environmental aspects of these new watches.
I bet Garmin is throwing up.
Notice there's 3 new watches then in this new series, the Series 8, the Watch Ultra, and the Watch SE. Oh, I think I also didn't go back and mention, I don't know, it says it here anywhere. Well, we'll get to it on the new iPhones. AirPods Pro, 2nd generation. So it's a new version of the Pro AirPods. These look pretty intriguing. They have 2 times more active noise cancellation, which is like Len said, if he's doing his lawn, might be useful. Personalized spatial audio, conversation boost, touch control. On the side of the AirPod, you can actually touch it, and I think it changes the volume for you.
It's a slider. You're supposed to be able to slide up and down.
That's right. You ride your finger up and down on the side. Memoji engraving, you can't pass that up, Glenn.
I did it. Now I didn't do. I didn't do a Memoji because I really can't stand those. But I just put my initials on it, and here's my reasoning why. Because both my wife and I have AirPod Pros, and we're always getting them confused whose case is which one. So I was either going to buy some, fun cover to put on my case, or when I saw that, I'm like, all right, I'm just going to get my initials on there, and then we won't have to worry about confusing them.
Yeah. Notice has a new chip, the next generation Apple Silicon. 6 hours listening time, up to 30 hours total listening time. Adaptive transparency, which I don't remember what that was about. In-case speaker. That's like, you can find out where you set it down. And it's compatible with all the chargers that exist currently.
Question.
$249. It's available September 23rd. There was a comment, somebody?
What is the difference between 6 hours listening time and 30 hours total listening time?
Your guess is as good as mine.
I'm asking definition of total listening time versus listening time.
That
I
bothers
don't
me as well.
remember, but I do think if you have active noise canceling on, that will reduce your time. But I'm not sure what exactly they mean by that.
Yeah, remember, this is just announced, so all those kind of details will be coming out. If you go searching for that, I'm sure we could find out some of those details, and hopefully next month we'll be able to tell you some more of those details with a little luck.
So they did not use those words with earlier AirPods, those terms, listening time and total listening time.
You'd have
I
to
don't
Google it.
Yeah, that's my guess, but I don't know. Notice again the environmental issues. In fact, they try to do away with all the plastic that's being used here, and the way the packaging is, and responsibly managed forests and zero waste and so on and so forth. And they've recycled all the rare earth elements and all the magnets that are being used. So Apple is pushing for that all the time. The next and kind of final area was the new iPhones, 14 and 14 Plus, but there's also the Max and Pro Max. So different colors they come in. This little summary here. Notice the prices. iPhone 14 is $799, available on the 16th, and 14 Plus is $899, available October 7th. It has a new camera, 12 megapixel main camera, a new front camera with autofocus. There's 2 sizes, 6.1 and 6.7, same size differences on the Pro and Pro Max. An
Can I
ultra wide camera.
ask a
brighter-
question?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Can I wanted to ask a question. I don't know if anybody knows this or not. So I've got the 11 Pro Max, and my 11 Pro Max is 6.4 inches. I'm just curious, does anybody know when they say 6.7 inch? Is that the physical one or the screen size? Because I'm trying to figure out like how much bigger that would be than what I'm using now.
Just a bit.
Well, I assume that's a diagonal measurement, but.
Yeah.
Exactly what, I don't know. Notice there is no 6.4 any longer, so it's, yours must be in between those two.
I think
Yeah,
that's the screen diagonal.
Because my 6.4 inch, 11 Pro Max, it's a pretty big phone. I'm like, I cannot imagine going to an even bigger phone at that point.
Well,
But
at this
you-
point, you have a choice to go a little smaller or a little bigger, it looks like.
It's only a 1/4 inch bigger, something like that.
Yeah, the nice thing though is, I'll let Ron continue, is that I think for the first time, the Pro and Pro Max have the exact same features. The only difference is size.
That's true.
I don't know. Usually the Max has more cameras.
Yeah, for the first time though, from what I understood, for the Pro models are the exact same.
Okay.
Notice one interesting thing they talked about, if you're a person who likes to go camping out in the backwoods and so on, the emergency SOS via satellite. It's a
Oh,
feature
that's-
that only Apple has right now, and I read a thing recently that said it's going to be difficult for any of Apple's competitors to actually duplicate. I'm not sure why that is, but the phone will allow you to find where the satellite is, track it, and do an emergency call, which is basically sending out a quick bit of information about where you are, what the problem is, if you have one.
That's so unbelievable.
Yeah, true, because it's the first one that's ever been able to contact the
I mean,
satellite.
if there's enough satellites up there that you can just point it up there and find one. From
Yeah,
anywhere.
it actually finds where it is, and since the satellite is constantly moving, the phone will show you where the satellite is, and it just has to keep pointing it in the right direction, because the phone's showing you which direction to point the phone.
From what I
It looks-
understand, you don't have to move your phone to keep it. Once you get that signal, you're good. That's all you have to do.
I thought you had to lock it on or something. I
Well,
guess-
it'll lock it on, but once it does it, it's not like you have to track with your phone and keep moving it. Once you find it, boom, then it sends it off and you're good.
Yeah, it looked kind of amazing when they demoed it on the presentation.
If the phone has crash detection and satellite geolocation, you wouldn't need OnStar.
Correct.
That's
Yeah.
probably true.
Well, if
next
somebody
thing-
steals your car, you still might want OnStar.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. I'm talking about.
Yeah. The next thing that came was iPhone 14 Pro. And there's a Pro and Pro Max. And one thing that's new, very different, like the newer iPhones, or excuse me, Apple Watches have always on display. Well, they've now put that into the Pro and Pro Max. So the display doesn't go totally dark when you're using the thing. And I guess it'll be interesting to get used to, because now you pick up your phone and you see a black screen as you touch it. But this will have this always on display, or at least it comes up when you turn the phone over. HDR, it has high dynamic range, pictures that it can take. The brightness is higher. Pro motion and a dynamic island. And that's a whole new feature, that little cutout you see at the top of the phone there where the cameras are.
Where the notch was.
I'm sorry, what?
That was where the notch was. This is the island takes the
Well,
place.
it
of
is the
notch.
same as kind of the notch, because
Yeah.
those cameras are still there. It's smaller, however, but it also becomes a dynamic island as they just display it or showed it. And that will actually expand with information for people that are calling you or various things, which looks very interesting. But again, it's a brand new feature. So exactly how it works in the real world will be interesting to see. Notice the
I think it looked
sizes or
pretty
the,
cool.
I'm sorry, again, what?
I thought it looked pretty cool, especially how you can have like sports scores or other information flashing up there or other things that you're doing. I thought they made really good use of that real estate.
Yeah, it looks like to me that it would be real useful and interesting, in fact. Because like you said, it's not just, it's giving you impertinent information to you.
Does the dynamic island only work on the Pro?
They only
Right.
mentioned it when they got to that, so I assume it's the Pro and Pro Max where that works.
The regular iPhone 14s have the notch.
Yeah,
Okay.
that little, it's smaller than the old notch, but anyway, it's there. Notice the sizes are the same, 6.1 or 6.7. So that hasn't changed. It's just that there are features that these phones do.
I don't see anything different on the cameras.
Well, I don't know. It says 48 megapixel main camera. The guy that was talked about the cameras on these Pros and Pro Max seemed to be really excited and talked about how much better they are. So I don't know exactly, but
Wow, 48 megapixel. Woo.
The only thing bad about that is that means you've got some pictures that are going to be very large in terms of memory.
It
I would
also-
like to make a
It also
comment.
has to be shot in raw mode.
Yeah.
I would like to make a comment about 48 megapixels. Many of the recent cell phones, particularly in the Android world, when they have 48 megapixels or more, they do something called pixel binning. They combine the pixels, and they may generate a 48 megapixel camera may still produce a 12 megapixel photo, but it's said that having the additional pixels helps with the quality of the color and the low light handling, I believe. And so while they may not appear as individual pictures in your finished photo, it's still supposed to help the quality of your photo.
And that's
I don't know if
exactly
that's
the-
what Apple's doing here
That's
or
exactly
not.
what they're doing.
yeah, and notice the software is also doing a lot of work behind the scenes to improve the look of that photo. That photonic engine is actually taking all these different aspects of the photo, combining them to give you the best looking shot.
Does it combine the 3 cameras together into one shot?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Also notice that lower left-hand corner, it says action mode. They were demonstrating that, for example, in a movie, the movie setting where you're taking video,
Oh, yeah.
it's like, how would you say it?
Stabilization?
Yeah, it's stabilization in video. So even
Yeah.
if you're running or moving along on a bicycle, it showed, it stabilizes the picture completely, just like in a real video camera would do for Hollywood. So you can get these totally great video shots without the jiggling or motion that you normally get on any other camera.
I bet a lot of amateur movie makers are going to be using this just for their whole movie.
It seems like, I would think it's becoming more and more common that they'll be using things like that. Because it's something that's inexpensive compared to, big Hollywood type cameras. All-day battery life. I don't know if that's better than what there exists now. It has the new A16 Bionic chip, which the 14 and 14, whatever had the A15. The display, brighter, always on display, which is new. And of course, the dynamic. Oh, and a new front camera with autofocus. So I don't know if that didn't have autofocus before, but it's a new front camera too. I think that's all I'm seeing here that's new, but anyway, these are all the new things that they were showing. Oh, and then of course, the environmental issues that they've tried to reduce. Notice the prices. The Pro is $9.99 or from, and the Pro Max is $10.99. I assume the from it depends on like what size storage you get in the phone.
Storage you get with it, right?
Yeah. It's available September 16th. So 3 days from now is all. I think you can pre-order once they actually showed them.
You could pre-order started Friday,
Okay.
all of these devices.
And notice these are the variations on the iPhone. So the SE is still available. The 12 and 13 are still available, same prices. The 14 and the 14 Pro. And of course, there's Pro Maxes and stuff.
I guess that means I have a vintage phone now.
Yeah, we all do. I have a 10. So mine isn't even on there anymore. And that ends that. So any comments about?
Thank you, Ron. That was good. Because I saw it all before, but it's hard to process it.
You know,
Well, I know, and that was a real fast run through, but anyway.
Now I'm giving Grant McLaren a homework assignment.
Okay.
All right, Grant, what you need to
Smiling.
do is to take that 4-inch thick box that you were using with the iPhone 8 into the Apple store and try it on an iPhone 14, not the Pro, just the 14, and see if that sucker has any better focus control than the iPhone 13 did.
I'm sure it will. And when I saw it, I was thinking, oh boy, I think I can trade it, even though I just got this 13 Pro, trade it in on a 14 Pro.
Yeah, that's not a bad
I really
idea.
think the improvement would be worth it.
Especially if you're going to do movies, that action thing. And I mean, I've seen some of them do.
Yeah, the demo of it was amazing.
I saw two guys extensively reviewing that stabilization, and it was just absolutely amazing what it could do. And the high quality of the image too, it was just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
My impressions on all this are, I think I'm with these devices that they, showed. I was more excited with this keynote than I have been in at least a couple of years.
Mm.
I just felt like there were features for all of these that got me pretty excited. Now I already ordered my AirPods Pros, and like I said, I might look into buying the Ultra Watch, maybe, I don't know, later this winter or spring. I don't think I'm going to upgrade to the 14, even though there are a lot of things I like about it, because as I mentioned to the officers last week, I'm kind of waiting, probably next year. I'm maybe looking at the next generation, because I'm, again, with the new speeds that are touted, it isn't quite a reality unless you're standing right under a tower. So I'm sort of waiting for that to become more reality, more widespread. But there were a lot of things, like you talk about crash detection, you talk about the emergency satellite stuff, I mean, on the Ultra, I mean, I'm not scuba diving anymore these days, but the dive computer on there, the better noise canceling and sound on the AirPods Pros, to me, there were more features that I was just excited about watching this. And like you guys said, some of the demos that they showed were great. I got to tell you, the one thing that I've so far been underwhelmed with, and we haven't talked about it tonight, so maybe we can talk about it next month possibly, is iOS 16. I was very excited. I got it on there yesterday and I've been playing with it.
Is that the demo version?
No,
They-
it's real. They released.
Mine didn't. Mine only went to 15.7 on mine today.
16 should be available, Alan.
16 is
I know,
available.
It updated while we were here in the meeting to 15.7.
Yeah.
What version of phone do you have?
12 plus.
So you should be able to put it on it. I mean, it's out. It came out yesterday for Watch OS 9, and iOS 16 came out for iPhone. I was real excited about the whole customization thing on the lock screen, and yeah, it's nice, but I've been a little underwhelmed with the things that I can do with it. I expected there to be a little more flexibility in my customizations. So I haven't played with it a lot, but so far I haven't been as kind of wowed with it as I thought I might be. I don't know if anybody else has downloaded it yet or played with it at all.
I've downloaded it, but I've had it since noon, so I barely scratched the surface.
Okay. Bad choice of words, John, with these devices.
Yeah, there you go.
Mine says 15.7. Your iPhone is up to date, but down at the bottom it says also available. Upgrade ISO 16. So yes, it's available. I just
Yeah.
I guess they sent out maintenance update 15.7.
So I'll have to play with it more and see if my impressions change with it. But that was the biggest thing, I also tried the whole text canceling thing. So I sent a text to my wife and then boom, I hit cancel. And she's like, what's this test you're sending me? So it didn't cancel. And then I read it, they have to have also iOS 16 for that to work. If they have earlier versions, it won't. So I'm thinking, well, that kind of sucks.
Because
you
if
know,
you're sending
but-
to an Android phone, you'll never get it canceled, right?
yeah, exactly.
But for the iPhone users, iOS 16 will support hardware all the way back to the iPhone 8, so that's not bad.
Yeah.
Yes, it shuts out the Android people to be sure, but at least for the iPhone people, it's all the way back to the 8, so that takes in a lot of people.
So I'll be interested to play with it more and see what I think. And, you know, obviously we got to see what's going on with the October, if Apple does something for a meeting, but if not, maybe we can delve more into those operating systems and stuff.
Yeah,
And,
compare, notes on ISO 16, yeah.
and maybe I'll have my AirPods Pro by then. If I do, maybe I can run through a little, review of them.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, thanks for coming tonight.
All right. See you guys next month.